everybody. Late afternoon, early evening. That's what I'm trying to say. My name is Denise. We are here with Sally Hilton and Joe. We are Truth in the Mirror. Today is August 9th, Wednesday, and it's a balmy 83 degrees here in sunny Southern California. How are you doing, Sally?
I'm so well. I wish that they would let us do a late night show because we could be really vile.
Salty.
Right. And I feel like all of the things that we talk about when these microphones aren't on, we could totally make work in real life.
Right, we could.
Oh, yeah. That would be a whole nother show. I don't know what we would even call it.
It would have to be after midnight.
It would. It would. Yeah.
It would be like Loveline.
There'd have to be like a special sign-in button to check that you're over 21 before you listen, I think.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Joe, how you doing? Sorry, Sally, I didn't mean to cut you off.
What?
I just wanted to say hi to Joe, see how he's doing.
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank
Awesome.
you. Doing good.
Good. So have you had a good week?
Yes, fabulous.
Anything exciting happen?
Absolutely not.
I've got exciting news.
You do?
Yeah.
What is that?
Vogue.
Yeah.
Probably not really known for their whole body image thing, right? I mean, high fashion, totally couture, not necessarily about, putting a plus-sized person on their cover or talking about body image even. But apparently, this week, that is a thing. So if you go onto their Vogue website, like I get the email every week because I'm a fashionista and I am totally vain and a little bit vacuous and I love looking at all of the beautiful things. You actually are given an option to look at the body image tab. So they have a whole category of articles on there.
Wow.
Really?
How amazing is that?
I think that's awesome, but I think it should be... I don't necessarily think it should be segregated. Why not?
Right.
Well, I guess
Good point.
I guess they have travel, then they have couture, then they have designer stuff that's coming out, and then they have like a little body image thing going on too. So, but yeah, I see your point. However,
yes,
we should high five them for coming this far down the line with us, I think.
True.
So, Charlie Theron, is that right?
Charlize Theron.
Okay, so she's a South African model, turned ballet dancer, also an actor and producer, like crazy beautiful woman.
Right.
Did a whole article with them about her body image, and she is quite outspoken on screen and off screen about her body and how
she is
about how her body. Because their body, when you're in Hollywood and when you're a ballet dancer and when you're a model, your body is your money, right? So I guess nobody can be more critical than her. But
and they pull no punches in Hollywood.
No,
they tell you,
absolutely.
your agents, everybody tells you too.
Absolutely. So she kind of set the record straight on a number of different bits. So first of all, that she can be celebrated at any age, and that she wanted to encourage 20-year-olds to get out there and be fabulous, but equally, you can't be judgmental towards women that are over 20.
Absolutely.
She talked about her self-worth and said that she'd always done what she'd done because she was praised for what she'd done, not necessarily what she'd looked like, even though she was seen as the pretty girl.
Right.
That she has pleasure in skipping a workout, which I think is a really lovely thing for a model to come out and say.
Absolutely.
So she said, I don't have a rigid routine. I like spinning and yoga, but I'm not at a place where I can, but I am at a place where I can forgo an hour at the gym to spend time with my son. And trust me, I do that with absolute pleasure.
That's great.
So how lovely is that? She totally embraces her female body. She has complete acceptance of where she's at. Other times you'll see her going out without her hair and makeup done. She said that I stand at the mirror and go, I like this, it's hot. And I think all women should do that.
That's great.
How amazing.
So she looks at herself in whatever outfit she's got.
Right. And loves it.
And praises herself.
Yeah.
Right.
Positive reinforcement.
And she gives herself a break. So I know that we go through what we found on the internet and kind of relevant things for the community, and we will do that. But later on in the show, we're joined by Tessie Tracy, who is a eating psychologist. And she's also about mind, body, nutrition, and fitness. And so she feeds really well into that, like being... having your own body be the tool that you use to make money, right?
Yes.
But still saying, do you know what, it's all right. I can skip out on the odd go at the gym, and I'm not a bad person just because I'm going to go and spend time with my son instead of doing it. Like,
no guilt.
No, it's absolutely amazing. I love it. And it has been a really positive week on the old interwebs this week. I mean, usually I'm like, somebody smacks somebody down for saying something, but that was a really lovely article. And then I saw another one about Hilary Duff, the Disney star, the former Disney star.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Right.
So good. So she posted a number of bits on Instagram, and she was posting on behalf of young girls, women and mothers of all ages. And she says, my body has given me the greatest gift of my life, Luca, who is 5 years old. And I'm turning 30 in September. My body is healthy and it gets me where I need to go. And then she went on to say, I just love her. Like, all of these should be memes and quotes.
Yes.
Like, I don't know whether she's actually sat down and written all of these things out and then thought, no, really high five me. These should be memes.
Maybe she has made the memes.
Maybe.
We'll have to look them up.
Maybe we should. She says, ladies, let's be proud of what we've got and stop wasting precious time in the day wishing we were different, better, or unflawed. You guys, you know who you are, already know how to ruin a good time, and now you and body shamers are on the bandwagon too. So, hashtag kiss my ass, which I love.
My favorite part.
That's
I think
fantastic.
we should just make that a permanent hashtag for everything that we promote for the show.
We can say that. Internet radio, we can say that.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
And then, Denise, you sent me a link this week about the internet being broken.
Well, yeah, the internet is actually not broken. But there's a man who says, I love my wife, even though she's curvy. And people are giving some mixed reviews on that.
Why?
Because people are saying, hey, you are supposed to love somebody who looks perfect, who looks like a model, who looks like they, just walked out of a salon and,
really
movie star.
Right.
Really, we're not allowed to declare love for people anymore now. This is a thing.
It has to be a certain type.
Yeah, why? Why is that? He says, I love this woman.
Right.
I love her curvy body.
Wow.
He said, guys,
Awesome.
yeah. But he actually said, guys, rethink what society has told you that you should desire. A real woman is not a porn star, is not a bikini mannequin, or a movie character. She's real. She's real with beautiful stretch marks on her hips, cute little dimpers on her booty. Girls, don't even fool yourself by thinking that you have to fit a certain mold to be loved and appreciated.
I love it.
That guy is great.
What a hero.
Serious brownie points on
Right.
it.
Oh, yeah.
He can,
Serious.
and then to declare that on the World Wide Web. I mean, how lucky is Mrs. What's her name?
Tripp. So it's
Sarah
Robbie
Tripp.
Tripp and Sarah Tripp, and she describes herself as a body confidence fashion blogger. She lives in San Francisco, and the message was widely praised at first for being body positive.
That's great. So I kind of see the other side. Just like we just said, hey, Vogue shouldn't just have a tap for body confidence. So I kind of see where we're coming from. Like, he should just be loving her because he just flat out stone cold sober 24 karat loves her. And I get it. But in society, you cannot, I don't think you can have too much of a conversation about it. And if that just means that, like, he went viral and maybe he's thinking that went viral for some of the wrong reasons, I think that's amazing. Because I think that means that people are talking about it and that, and how wonderful is Sarah Tripp that now the world is talking about her and how fabulous her husband thinks she is and how lovely she obviously thinks she is if that's what she does for a living too.
Right.
So I kind of see the other side of it, but
love
wins. Love has to win every time, right?
Yes.
He's just doing a nice thing for his missus.
And it's not about, I'm going out to go find this someone who fits this mold, like he says.
Right.
There's so many people out there, and there's so many people to choose from. Mm-hmm. And it's all about really what's in your heart.
Right.
Not what you look like.
No, it's a thing. I genuinely think that there is... Look, there is animal attraction, right? There's something to be said for the
chemistry.
fact that there's a little bit in the back of our mind that is still a little bit primal and knows what we like.
Right.
And knows what we find attractive. But I genuinely think that you can override that sometimes, and you can either size blind people or whatever you think your flaw is, you can blind them with your personality and your charisma, and then before you know it, you think, oh yeah, you're a thing. So I have a prime example of that, right? I think one of the most attractive women in the world is Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
But you don't find many men on the street that would say, tick, she's a winner.
Right.
But there's something about her that her charisma, or it's something about, like I talk about these people of the light.
Right.
There's something about the way she holds herself. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you're a really feminine woman, and you're the kind of woman that I want to be.
Yes.
But every man that I've spoken to, and I've said, oh, do you know what? My dream hot date, if I was going to, it would be her. All the men have gone like, what? That's a thing?
Right.
Sarah Jessica Parker? Like, out of everybody. But
yeah.
So everybody has their own preference, I guess. But you're right. It's not necessarily about the shell that we come in, I guess.
I think society really plays a big part on pushing people towards what is supposed to be beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like...
Where did we even come up with it? So this is the thing. Where did we even come up with the image of what is supposed to be beautiful? Where does that come from?
It comes from the internet, and it comes from magazines and movies.
Who decided it? Is there a room full of like fashion executives that sit there and say, do you know what, for the next 3 years, heroin chic, totally in?
Well, and also think about it. Like, think about paintings from hundreds and thousands of years ago.
Right.
When you see women...
Rubenesque.
Right.
They're full. They're voluptuous.
They're very full. And
very full.
Right.
And that was a sign of wealth. Like, if you can be that curvy, you're eating, so we all want to be you.
Right.
Because you've got cash.
In ancient history, if you were a really super thin woman, you wouldn't get married because they thought something was wrong with you. Mm-hmm. They thought you were sick.
Right.
So
seriously.
it's
flipped.
Completely
It's
flipped.
Right. And you know, I was talking about the dress sizes thing. Like, that was done years ago when they decided what a size 12 was going to be. It was done years ago on a very small demographic of people that were paid to take part in a study so that they could measure them. And because they were paid, they were people that were doing this, like, for extra cash, so they weren't economically in a stable position, so they weren't eating correctly, they didn't have the right kinds of levels of nutrition, and they weren't necessarily a true representation of everybody. It was a very small demographic of poor people that were paid to take part in that. And so now, however many years on, we're all still trying to like shuffle into a size 12 thinking that we're fat, and actually not so much.
And we evolve. We're taller and bigger now.
Right. It's true.
Some people are.
Yeah.
I'm not taller.
No, I mean, I'm just
taller.
saying.
Good things come in small packages.
I'm growing out,
it's
but
true.
I'm not growing up.
I know that we have to take a break, but before that, Denise presses a very thoughtful song, because this is becoming an in-joke now that Denise is
she's pretty good at
hand-picking songs. Right. I would just love to say thank you to Milagro Winery for having us this week. So we've done a lot of filming up there on their location. They're absolutely wonderful. Their wine is beautiful. The location is lovely. Their event space, their tasting rooms, the people, the service, the everything. They're up on Little Page Road. They really rock my world. We're very privileged to have them as a sponsor, and I can't thank them enough for making us extremely welcome this week, because we do clutter the place up with all of our cameras and stuff. So thank you so much, Milagro, once again for being absolutely wonderful. What thoughtful song have you got lined up, Denise?
Well, here we go. I'm going to take us into the song, and we will be back with you guys on Ramona Town Radio with Sally Hilton. I have some super exciting news. I'm cutting in on Bruno Mars right now, just the way you are. But let me tell you something. We're live here with Sally Hilton, Truth in the Mirror, on Ramona Town Radio, and I have a guest online with us.
It's super exciting, right?
I know. Let's all say welcome to Tessie Tracy.
Welcome, Tessie Tracy.
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Hi, good to be here, guys.
Yeah.
It's great to have you, genuinely. So Tessie is... Tessie's a little bit of a superstar, actually, because there seems to be an awful lot in this bio, and I'm going to let you go through it for us, because I think nobody can tell their story better than themselves. But Tessie is a eating psychologist. She focuses on mind, body, nutrition, fitness, and emotional intelligence. And she's an all-round superstar on the Instagram, so I think that we should all be following her. And she also does some very impressive CrossFit stuff. Like, genuinely. I've been watching you do handstands on kettlebells today.
Oh, my goodness.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, Wow.
But anyway, so Tessie, welcome. It's so lovely to have you. Why don't you share with our listeners who you are and what you're about and how your journey has begun?
Yeah, so definitely thank you for having me on the show. I love, I don't even remember exactly how I came across everything that you're up to by your radio show, and I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is amazing, and she's doing it, and she's spreading the best message ever. So I'm super happy that we've had a chance to connect.
Thank you.
I grew up in Colorado and was an athlete my entire life, had a coach, did gymnastics. I was a competitive cheerleader in college and always, was kind of into this fitness thing. After college, I had a little bit of a withdrawal from sports and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I had always been told that I would be good at bodybuilding.
Ooh, wow.
So So I'm living in Denver. I hired bodybuilding coaches. I trained for about 5 months.
That's
and it was like really intense. And I also, as proud as I am of being able to, hit a goal, be committed to pretty much eating and exercising exactly how my coaches told me to. Right. I went into it in the headspace of like, oh, this is going to be amazing. Like, I will keep my head on straight. I won't have any, mental obsessions or issues with food. I had a really close friend who had been in treatment for bulimia and anorexia. And the second she found out I was doing the show, she didn't talk to me for the entire time I was training, because she was like, do you realize what happens to people when they do that?
Right. Wow.
That must be super fascinating.
I kind of, it was about, I'm hearing a little echo of myself. So.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay. That must be super fascinating, though, to have seen your body at different sizes and at different levels of fitness, right? So, I mean, athlete and cheerleader body is one thing, but then to have that level of commitment and then to be bodybuilder, that's a very different person that's looking back at you. It's not, but in our mindset, it's a very different person that's looking back at you, right?
Yeah. So I get to the point in my training, and I was in like the best cardiovascular shape of my life, and I was actually born with a congenital heart condition, so things like running have always been difficult for me.
Right.
And I was like running sprints for an hour a day. I could do like 10 strict pull-ups. The things I shouldn't have been doing with my heart, I was on caffeine pills and fat burners and appetite suppressants, and like I got to that place. I got to the place where I was scared to have a piece of gum because it was 5 calories. The day of my show, I felt fat in my sparkly suit. I had lost 20 pounds of just fat and only 1 pound of muscle.
Wow.
And so went from like 140 something to 120. I'm like so weak. I can barely like think straight. The day of my show, I felt fat, didn't want to take my warm-ups off because I thought I looked worse than everyone else. And I won the entire show.
Well, that was good. That was perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's this...
But your reality wasn't that you're a winner at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
For yourself.
Yeah. And then the struggle after that was I had been, for the first time in my life, again, like I mentioned, because of my heart condition, sports and stuff didn't necessarily come easy to me.
Right.
So I felt like I had to work twice as hard as everyone else. And this was something I felt like I was finally good at. I was the best at.
Right.
And I was solely being judged on what I looked like.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a very scary place to be for validation. Isn't, like, if that's the only validation that you have at that point, that's a dark place, really, in reality,
Yeah, and that's what happened to me after my show. Is I went through a depressive state. My coaches had somewhat of a family emergency, and I wasn't able to get the education I needed of how to get off of my diet, and I didn't know what was happening to my body that was literally
you're withdrawing.
Starving.
So,
yeah, I had like some disordered eating and, gained the water weight back and was just like so confused. And that kind of started me on my path of like, hey, this is, doesn't feel normal. I want to help people with this. So fast forwarding to where I am now, I had always had that in the back of my head. I became a personal trainer and also realized that, people did need the basics, there is a benefit of having the education of like, let's be active, let's choose high quality foods, and it doesn't have to turn into the like obsession with what you look like.
Right. And now as that personal trainer, you have a duty of care and a responsibility to make sure that whoever you are training is doing that in a sensible, controlled manner, right? That's got to be always in the back of your mind. Whereas I think I think some of these things are complete blessings. And although at the time that was a very dark place, there are probably a lot of trainers out there that don't even think about that twice because they have not been through the things that you've been through. And so I think that's probably quite a blessing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that like it all really hit home when I became an eating psychology coach, because that was the whole approach. It was, hey, it's, what you eat and what you do for exercise is 50% of the equation. The other 50% of our food and body challenges are who we are as an eater. What are our beliefs? What's our personal story? What's our body image?
Right.
Because even when I had moved to LA, I was still pursuing like hip hop dancing and acting and modeling, and was told that now back to like a normal but still kind of athletic body type, was asked by agents if I did plus-sized modeling.
Wow.
I was told by an acting coach I needed to gain 10 or gain 20 or lose 10 to get any roles.
Wow.
Right.
What are the biggest challenges? So I coach body image, and although everybody is unique and everybody is different, once you've done this for a while, there are maybe like 5 to 10 actual causes that are a thing, right? That we get down to eventually. It's just that they're masked by other things, other excuses, other mindsets. But really, there are only a certain amount of core issues that everybody has. So, is that the same when we talk about the eating psychology? Is there a box for everybody? It's just that it manifests in different ways for different people, or what are the challenges that those boxes look like?
That is a great question. I think from the eating psychology approach, it's what I say and what we say at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating is that there is a mind, body, nutrition, and an eating psychology for everyone.
Okay.
Meaning, being a human on this earth at some point or another in life, you will experience, whether it's even just passing thoughts or more, deeper challenges that are actually affecting your quality of life, some sort of challenge with food and body.
Right.
Even whether that's a physical symptom that you have to change your diet to help heal it. Like if you're gluten intolerant, or you have celiacs, or you have migraines, there's a mental factor to being like, that's still a mental adjustment to say, oh, I kind of have to eat this way because I know how I will feel if I don't.
Right.
And so you get into that like tricky ground of, because I'm so much the person where with most of my clients, I don't put them on a diet. I don't recommend a diet. I start by saying, so the box that I would check for everyone is eat slow, eat mindfully, enjoy your food, because if we're eating fast, if we're having a fear of calories or hating our body, and while we're eating, we're thinking, I shouldn't be eating this, we're actually contributing to the physiological stress response in our body, fight or flight, which actually tells our body to up our cortisol levels, remove blood from the digestive system, don't assimilate any nutrients, don't burn any calories.
Right.
So we're like completely working against ourselves.
Right.
And things as small as thoughts can contribute to that.
I remember I read an article, because I've been trying to sound knowledgeable for when you call, but I was actually I was binge reading this week. I read an article earlier in the week about a lady that she was going through issues, and she would overeat or binge eat. I'm sure there's a technical difference for that, so I don't want to get that wrong. But she would overeat at certain points, and then the advice that she was given, and the thing that worked for her, was to enjoy when you do it, because you want to kind of do it. You'll do it less rather than then beating yourself up emotionally for binge eating and then eating a little bit more because you're sorry for yourself because you binged eat.
Right.
So it was almost the complete reverse, but she said that it didn't make sense to her in the moment. But kind of 6 months down the line, it's not a thing for her anymore, and she's completely retrained where her mind's at, because she was enjoying the process and actually got what she needed from it, and then felt like she needed to do it less. And it blows my mind that that's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, there's a technique. So the founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, he's a genius. His name is Mark David. So a technique that he uses, he calls it ritualizing the binge.
Right.
So, and the difference with like overeating to binge eating is small, but it's there. It's really just that like overeating is kind of like we're very conscious that we're sort of full and like we just really like what we're eating, and we're kind of like, I'm really going to regret this, but I'm going to take one more bite.
Right.
Yeah.
Binge eating is a little more of an escape mechanism to disembody, to escape our reality that, we can't deal with our emotions right now. We're super stressed. When we're binging, we might almost black out and not even realize how much we're eating. Right. And then before we know it, we just see wrappers all over the floor.
Wow.
So ritualizing the binge you can use the approach in both ways. It's okay. You might be stressed out. You always binge like at night on the box of cookies. Don't tell yourself you're not going to do it.
Because you
are.
are.
The cookies, but now light a candle, create an environment that's like pleasant and soothing, and just give yourself permission. Start with a serving size, put like 2-3 cookies on the plate. Again, not saying you can't have any more, just start with that and try to enjoy them as much as you can. And exactly like you said, Sally, people will, and it's a practice, people will try this and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I actually felt full, and I couldn't believe that I didn't want to eat more cookies.
Right, and I enjoyed it like I thought I was going to, instead of beating myself up for it.
Wow.
It's a more mindful thing rather than a ritual.
Like punishing yourself, right?
Right, you
so
stop the
binging
punishing.
Would be punishing, right? Kind of, you're punishing yourself.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so it's almost approaching it with celebration as opposed to I'm about to do something bad. It's like, I'm about to really enjoy this.
Right. And that's a really big thing for me. Right? I'm a massive advocate. I think I've probably already said it 3 times on air tonight, even like half an hour into the show, that love wins. And that if you approach anything with mindfulness and love, anything, whether it's a goal in life, whether it's your partner, whether it's a problem an issue that you have with yourself, whatever it is, if you approach it in a positive way, there is always a positive outcome from positive.
Right. Yes.
But we don't.
I love that.
We don't necessarily think like that anymore.
We lack a lot of self-confidence.
We lose that, for sure. So what I'm really interested in, and I've been very excited about this all day, and I really have been flashing your email to everybody. I'm like, no, seriously, you got to tune in because I really want to know about these. These are your toxic nutritional beliefs.
Yes.
So, do you want to tell us what they're about? Because I am genuinely excited, and I'm just going to kick back and have a cup of tea while you do it because I'm invested in this.
I love it. Yeah, so the toxic nutritional beliefs that I like to share and talk about are basically, they're kind of like myths that are still widely fed to us in the headlines on the magazines. And I heard you guys talking earlier that, and I love that, some magazines are celebrating and getting much better at talking about body image and incorporating different body types and not just the like 5% of body types.
Right.
But overall, even from like the diet industry, we're fed information that is told to us that it's from doctors, that it's scientific, and it's actually not always even scientifically true. Mm-hmm. So toxic belief number 1 is calories in versus calories out equals weight control. So meaning the amount of calories I'm eating versus burning means I know how to either maintain my weight or lose weight or whatever.
Right. That's not a truth, right?
So, no. And we're so told it's a truth sometimes.
Right, 100%.
A lot of times.
Yeah. And one reason that most people don't know this is not a truth is that our calorie burning capacity is different person to person. Mm-hmm. So there's one study, for instance, of people that like different nationalities, and they're fed. I don't remember exactly what they are, but I'll still do my best to explain it.
we won't hold you to it.
Yeah, we're not going to fact check.
We'll say
we can use alternative facts.
Yeah, someone from Sweden is given like a traditional Mexican meal. And they're still, that's the only thing like outside of normality about the meal. So, and the test was how they would like burn calories or metabolize the meal. So because it was unfamiliar to the Swedish person, they actually had a lower digestion, lower metabolism, lower calorie burning capacity from that meal. Whereas the authentic Mexican who's like, yeah, my mom made this growing up. This meal is like
my body's used to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they have a taste for it. That actually contributes to their digestion.
Right.
So that plays a role where the two people, a Swedish person and a Mexican, ate the exact same meal, the exact same number of calories, but they actually burn and metabolize the calories differently. So one, if they're always eating, that's why it's common, like Asians will come to America and they get on our poor American diet and they gain weight because it's not what they're, genetically predisposed to digest and metabolize, and it's not, high quality food. That's not always the case, but it's common. So that's one example of how, calories in versus calories out.
I have actually noticed the difference in that. So I've been in the US from England for about 5 or 6 years now. And the women that I style over here even hold their weight in a different place because of whether it be the trans fats or whether it be the things that the high sodium level or whatever it is that's in food here that is not government, it's not allowed, it's regulated by the government in England. And so a lot of my European friends or friends within England that I have are very hourglass shaped and they hold their weight differently. And that was always a thing for me. Like, to a certain extent, it's kind of acceptable if you're curvy to be more curvy and be hourglass, right? Because you can kind of get away with it because you're supposed to do it.
Right.
But then when I started to move over here, although my diet didn't necessarily change, well, it did for the first year because I found like In and Out and, and a lot of other things that don't exist in England.
Yeah.
Like, woohoo, this is a winner. But in reality, once we kind of got over the tourist period, my diet is no different here than it would have been in England. It's just that there are some regulations that we have in the UK that we don't have here. And so now I have my body shape has started to change. So although I am metabolizing the food differently, I think I'm holding the weight differently. And also my age is probably now 5 years against me too. But I'm starting to hold that in different places and starting to turn into what I would call like an American kind of body shape rather than some of the European body shape. So, and then equally the Asian body shape is slightly different too on average, right? There's always the exception.
That's super interesting.
But that's a thing. So that kind of rings true with me that would, like, as a first-hand experience, that would be a thing, that they would metabolize that differently. For sure.
And that's the other thing is there are factors that can cause, weight gain or just things happen in our body that are non-caloric. So environmental factors, pollution factors, chemicals that are in foods, not calories, chemicals that can cause hormonal shifts and
that's so interesting. You don't think about those things.
Like the pesticides that are used in even grains in growing them.
Right, you don't think about those things at all.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm sorry, we cut you off again. We're just having little mini revelations every time you say something. I think environmentally also, this is definitely a thing. I eat better now that I live in sunshine because I don't need to comfort eat. I don't need to have mashed potatoes because it's too bloody hot. I just have a Caesar salad.
Oh, I'll still eat mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes.
But this isn't hot to you. This is
doesn't
normal
matter.
real life to you.
Yes.
Right.
I would go eat that today, even though it's warmer.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry, Tessie. Get back to where you were. I'm sorry. We'll stop gossiping.
No, I love that. Yeah, eating like seasonally and cooler foods when it's hot, sometimes I feel like that too.
Yeah.
Let's go on to one of the other toxic beliefs. So one, like exercise, this kind of feeds off of that one, but exercise more plus eat less equals weight loss. And I think this one has been dispelled a little bit, but for the fact where it's like, okay, every, diet or fitness challenge is going to put you on this very unsustainable plan that's having you moving more and eating less. So might you see some short-term results and changes? Yes. But over the long term, especially if you're doing calorie restriction over a long period of time, your body will hit a wall and you'll actually become like micronutrient deficient in fatty acids and proteins, and you'll start to gain weight around your midsection, and you'll be like, oh, well, it was working before when I was going to the gym for 2 hours and eating one salad a day. But our body will turn on us, and eventually the stress factor will kick in. So even things like skipping meals that goes along with the theory of eat less will put our body in that starvation mode that actually kind of slows down our metabolism as opposed to eating regular meals. So this just reminded me that like I work with meal timing a lot with people. I'll meet with a client and they're like, well, I don't eat breakfast because I'm just not hungry. And then I get really, really hungry in the afternoon. So our metabolism works. There's what's called biocircadian rhythm, and it's similar to like our sleep-wake cycle, where most humans are like, tired at certain parts of the day, and then our energy rises and dips a little bit. Our metabolism works the same way. So as we're waking up, the engine is just getting going, so it's important to eat breakfast. It usually peaks between 12 to 1:30. So I usually tell my clients, or have them at least experiment with, eating their biggest meal in the middle of the day, kind of like Europeans do.
See, I feel like you're speaking to my soul a little bit now. Because I haven't had breakfast yet. And I was up at, I know, but I am genuinely really looking forward to the very large pie that my mother has made for this evening that I will then shovel in my mouth and then go to sleep. So,
that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it does, right? But, so I've technically not eaten yet today. I've had 2 lattes and 3 bottles of water. And I know what you're telling me is right. And actually, if I ate more, and I don't not eat because I feel like I'm too fat or whatever. It's just genuinely, it's not it's just not, I'm not mindful of it, and I probably should be to be more healthy.
We just like get busy and we're moving, and it's totally one of those things.
But if I ate more, I'd probably be thinner. What's that about?
But do you think, I mean, I was just going to ask that question. So, and this goes to Tessie and to Sally. Do you think for the people who don't eat something well-balanced, even if it's just a snack in the morning and a snack in the afternoon, when they do eat a meal finally later on in the day, that they consume more because they feel like, well, I've kind of like let all these calories go, so now I can eat more because I didn't eat what I should have ate earlier.
So I don't think about the calorie. I just think I've opened the floodgate then. So then I'm like, oh, do you know what? I really was hungry and I enjoyed that pie, but I inhaled it. So I didn't really feel like I ate it. So, do you know, I'm just going to go and have a look in the fridge. And that's life.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's what happens when the eating slow thing, and of course eating, just regular meals, even if it's just trying to get in, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, you don't have to go crazy with it where it's like, oh, do 6 small meals a day, because it just takes time and focus to feed ourselves. And I say you got to go with what's going to work for you. But the eating slow, there's what we call the brain in our head and the brain in our belly, our enteric nervous system. So it takes those two brains 20 minutes to communicate. Wow. So when we're shoveling food down our mouth and like just eating really fast, even if it's delicious, we're not being satiated from that food. So it's actually very common for us we will still feel hungry after like eating really fast.
And then we end up overeating and feeling awfully full and uncomfortable.
It all kicks in,
Or you feel guilty afterwards.
I eat too fast. I do that. I eat way too fast.
Do you feel guilty?
Yes.
Do you feel guilty?
I do,
guilty sometimes.
Actually. I do, and I think, oh my gosh, I ate way too much.
Yeah, I do it. That's what I feel.
Wow. Skinny is pretty, healthy and perfect.
Let's get to that one. Yes.
Do it.
That's for last, right?
Right. Do it.
Real life right there.
Yeah. Okay. So toxic belief, myth, a pretty healthy, perfect person is skinny, and healthy and unhealthy will be someone who's overweight or what society considers ugly and not perfect. So this is, to me, this is a myth and almost an infection in our society that's just as bad as like racism.
Yep.
Or sexism or, whatever it is. Like, it's there. It's kind of like ingrained and it's going to take a while to transform. Yeah. So there was one study of, how people, it was like, how do you define beauty, right? And people were just shown silhouettes of bodies. And in one of the studies, people were shown a number of different shapes and sizes, but the majority of the silhouettes were thin. And, what in today's society would people see, like, the fitness people on Instagram posting and this girl on the front of Shape magazine and that sort of thing. And then at the end of the study, they put like 2 or 3 silhouettes out and they said which one is most beautiful, and they chose the thinnest one. So similarly, the a different group of people were given silhouettes that the majority of the silhouettes were more full-figured and curvy. And at the end of the study, given the same choices, they said which one is more beautiful, and they chose the curvy. There was also a study where they showed actual pictures, and it was more like there were different body types, but it was more geared towards like if someone is like very plain or not wearing makeup versus like very glamorous.
Yep.
So it had nothing to do with the weight, but the people chose that beautiful was more glamorous, even like on a full-figured person. I don't even know what term to use. I don't know if full-figured is like offensive for people, but I just want to say that
you can't use an offensive word because you're coming at it from love. So there's no such thing as an offensive word on here. You're good. But it's what you're exposed to, right? It's
So that's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's what you're shown more of is what you are comparing yourself to and what you're thinking is beautiful. And if that's not you, which of course, capitalism and the magazines are mostly showing, unrealistic pictures of what most human beings look like, then we're basically left feeling like we're not good enough.
I coached a woman a couple of years ago, just as like the Tess holiday thing started to kick off, and she wanted to be a plus size influencer, and that was her dream. That was the thing that she wanted to do, and I was coaching her about her body image at that point, but that was going to be her end goal. And she actually said to me, "I don't think I'm fat enough to do this."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Whoa, that's a reverse of something that you would usually hear, right? I don't think I'm fat enough to do this." Because she was immersed in that community, as am I actually, but as you and as is we all are at this point. Because we're immersed in that community, we see the images that. My Instagram feed is full of plus size women, right? So it almost gives you like this false sense of reality of what an average. For me, I have a false sense of what an average size woman is now. And when I go styling with people, I'm like, oh, I think I just pulled you a dress that's a bit too small there, because in my mind, they're smaller than I think that they are. Right, because I surround myself with larger images.
That was an interesting perception that she had of herself, though.
She wasn't fat enough
to
be a fat influencer.
Yeah.
Huh.
Right, because body positivity is all about being fat, right?
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah. And that reminds me, like, from the beginning of the show, when you guys were talking about, like, to talk about, hey, I'm a body image coach, or I'm a body confidence coach. It's like, now we have this expectation like, that must mean you're like bigger than the average person, so that's why you went into that or whatever. Right. When really it's about literally celebrating every shape and form. So, which is why, have you seen the movie Embrace?
Yes. How amazing is that?
I have not seen that.
Loved it.
Oh, we need to get on it. We'll have a movie night together. We'll all sit down together. But it's the thing. And, I mentioned to one of my friends that you were going to come on the show today, and I said, no, seriously, actually we were talking about the fact that you actually have a radio show yourself for poets, and they are a poet, and so I was saying you need to get on this and you need to get her involved, and I'll hook you up with her, but you need to watch her on
absolutely.
Instagram.
I would love that.
And the did you just set your car alarm off because you're that fabulous?
Is somebody stealing the car?
I just ran around the corner in my apartment. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope they can't hear that.
You just got so excited
by that. Right outside my window is a Walgreens parking lot, and the car alarm.
That's amazing. If we heard gunshots, we'd have to dial 911, right?
I love that real life creeps in every now and again. It's amazing.
It's awesome.
But actually, I said to this friend, I need you to hook up with them and actually have a look on Instagram. And they said, I'm sorry, she's a what now? And she's a eating psychologist, and she does mind body. Yeah, but what were you saying, though, about this whole global ambassador and this body image movement thing? And I didn't expect it to look like that, right? Because I think, and that was a thing. They're my friends that know what I do and are immersed in how sensitive I am about these things, and how I'll just go off the deep end at you if you happen to say the wrong thing about somebody or judge them.
Right.
And it's like, oh no, do you know, I didn't expect a body positive person to look like a personal trainer that can, handstand on
kettlebells.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the world just expects that you can only be body positive.
I just got really excited. So this goes into the fact that skinny and pretty is not always healthy, because there could be someone who has literally the image of the models that you'd see on the magazine, and we always look at the outside perspective, like, oh my gosh, that person must be so happy, they have the perfect life, and you don't know their inner dialogue. They could have cancer, for one thing, so it doesn't mean they're the healthiest person. They could have body image issues, they could be anorexic, like it's just to say that, you know, comparison and assuming is the death of us. And even earlier this year, I actually I did like this online fitness competition that was, you would get to be featured in a magazine. And I did it in a very backwards way where I asked everyone to vote for me only if they believed that fitness was about more than what we looked like.
Come on.
That's really great. That?
Yeah.
I love
Good
it.
for you.
Wow. I love it. I love it.
And it was
cool.
Yeah. So, and actually one of my friends was like, well, I actually don't know because people are going to see your pictures and just assume like you're like every other contestant.
Right.
And so, and I let that kind of deflate me a little bit, but I was like, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
if I were to win it, I could get, you know, the winner got a spread in the magazine, and then I would get to spread my message that, like, hey, it's not just about what you look like, which, like, you know, yeah. So
and I don't understand.
That happens.
Well, I do understand because it's our job to understand. But for the purpose of the conversation, I don't understand why we have grown up comparing our bad bits or the things that we perceive as bad bits to what we perceive other people's good bits, right? So you don't see somebody in the street and think, ooh, all right, it might be a bit judgy of me, but your arms are big. Mine are big also. If you see somebody that's got amazing arms and you think yours are big, you're the first person to go, she's got better arms than me. Well, hey, how about even playing field here a little bit? Yeah. You know, like, I wish I had Kim Kardashian's butt. Well, that's Kim Kardashian's moneymaker, right? And so that's her best bit. And in your mind, you're comparing your personal worst bit to somebody's best bit. Right. Why? I don't understand.
Absolutely.
Like, set yourself up for some success.
You're not looking for your best bit. You're always looking to compare yourself.
Right, we compare the worst bits.
We got to look for our own best bit.
Right. Nobody looks in the mirror and thinks, well, hopefully they do after we've been through a process or they've been through a process with Tessie. But, you know, you look in the mirror and you think, do you know what? I've got lovely eyes. Do you know who else has got lovely eyes?
Yep.
Claudia Schiffer. That doesn't happen. You don't compare nice bits, do you?
Right, yeah.
My nose is as great as so-and-so's.
Right.
Yeah,
That's not something that we do.
But we should.
Yes, we should. Yes, we should. Can I just ask you, like, I just have two other things that I really need to ask you because we've totally gone over time, but, like, this is my life now, so this is what happens. Do you think that there are such things? So I think that sometimes diets, regardless of whether I like to call them healthy eating plans, but do you think that diets are dangerous? Because I know that you said that you're not necessarily an advocate of putting people on diets, right? So, do you think that they're dangerous and that they have a kind of control over us psychologically?
For the most part, yes.
Okay.
So, and I love that you call them healthy eating plans. So what I find is everyone's individual, right? But the majority of us who have the body or eating challenge of, hey, I think I need to lose weight. That's just like a really common one.
Yeah.
Are yo-yo dieting, chronic dieting, and that is like the exact person that I would like give the non-diet to.
Yes.
I'd say, hey, we're going to work on meal timing. We are going to work on macronutrient balance. So getting good proteins, good carbs, and healthy fats. We are going to work on upping your quality of food. So if they're getting a certain, you know, bread or whatever, or even dairy, I'll say, hey, let's, you know, I know it's a little more expensive. Let's get the organic brand. You'll actually notice a difference in the taste. You'll notice a difference in how it's going to feel in your body. And one thing that really helps, so for the person that's, you know, they've let the diets really control them and there's the guilt and all of that. It's like, let's just try this as an experiment, right? Yes. So let's just do this for like 3 to 4 weeks and see what happens. So it's very pressure off. A lot of times when I first start working with clients and it's very clear that they do have the fear of calories and the what do I eat, I try and get to where that comes from, as opposed to trying to change the behavior, because they've tried that, right? They've tried the diets, they lose the weight, they gain the weight. It's obviously not working.
Right.
So let's get to the bottom of, like, hey, were you made fun of as a kid? Right. How did your, did your parents put pressure on you to eat certain things?
Right.
And it's so that's the psychology part of it that comes in, where people have never made these connections. And when they make the connections, then they're able to create that, the inner knowing, the inner shift, so that they become the 1 to 3% of people that authentically choose to change their diet, and they stick with it.
Right.
They're not just doing it out of, beating themselves up or feeling like they have to, or like society's telling them to, because that will never last.
Well, and we spoke about this earlier in the week too. When somebody genuinely loves themselves, or when they accept themselves, and they get to a point then that they start to make wise decisions for themselves. Like if you love your child, you want the best for them. And so you put them first, and you start to make really wise decisions for them. And so when you become that person also, and you become a priority to yourself, and you love and embrace yourself as much as you do everybody else in your life, then you start to make it's easier to make those decisions for yourself, and the number on a scale is not how lovely you are, is it?
I just want you to know, as a guy, what you said resonated with me, because I've fluctuated in my weight, and that hit home, that last part. Tess.
Oh, Joe, did we have a breakthrough with you?
I'm getting emotional.
Oh, my God.
Stop right now.
Seriously.
Do you want a
You're
tissue?
so sweet.
Can you give me a tissue? Yeah.
And then finally, could we I just want to know your personal opinion on the whole gastric bypass, gastric band,
lap band.
Yeah, because there's lots of different types of them now, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to know where you were at.
Weight loss surgery?
Yeah, where you were at psychologically with that, and where you were at just your general personal view with it.
Yeah. So general personal, / professional view is, my personal view is not helpful. So it's rare that someone will have the surgery and be 100% quote unquote fixed or happy or, sustainably healthier, complete.
Yep.
Because if they, got to the point where they were overweight to where it was affecting their health, and that was a suggestion for them, I also believe that there was something to be done, either therapeutically or, coaching or diet-wise, that could have got them there in a way that was empowering for them, that they created. Because so many people that have the gastric bypass, they'll gain the weight back. It doesn't really fix, that the habit or the tendency or the emotional, connection that they have with how they're eating or what they're eating or what got them there in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Right. They're really not addressing that core issue, and they're still going to possibly make the same poor choices in nutrition.
Right.
And any, exercise.
And
that
it
doesn't
doesn't fix what's in the mirror.
Right.
And then also it's incredibly interesting to me that what's in the mirror doesn't catch up with you in your mind. So sometimes when we're coaching women, and I'm sure that that Tessie has this too, when you're coaching women, they still, even though that they've had this gastric band, and maybe now they're a size 10 and they were a size 30, the woman in the mirror to her is still a size 24 max.
Yes.
Right.
Because
that is huge. That is why. So
this whole body dysmorphia
and I love that they were trying to support people and create a healthier lifestyle, but that is why approaches like The Biggest Loser do not work, because a number of contestants that were on that show got eating disorders, gained the weight back, there was no work necessarily done on the body image. So they were still walking around in this world that unfortunately is still the majority of the world is, you know, you need to look a certain way to like be healthy. And if they've had 30 years of life believing they are a piece of crap, then just changing, you know, their body and then they're getting validation for that. It's also a mind battle that's not dealt with of, you know, it's kind of like when you win the lottery, and if you've been poor and you win the lottery, you're going to like spend it within a year because you're so you're subconscious and like uncomfortable.
Right. That's all of us, Tessie, in this room. Just that, you know, we would all be bankrupt within a week.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's true.
So that transformation, that's why it kind of like it. I think like if we could all relax into our journey a little bit and not make it wrong if we don't feel like we have the perfect diet, not make it wrong if we feel like, hey, you know, I feel like just my lifestyle right now, maybe my body has a little weight to lose. So that's the other part of the, you know, fat is ugly and unhealthy is not true, because and that's why I love Embrace. Like there are people that in our medical system would be categorized as obese, but they're running marathons and they eat really healthy and they're like, you know, active and fit and vibrant.
Right.
And just because they don't look a certain way, they're considered unhealthy when they could go to the doctor and they actually have a longer lifespan than some of their skinnier counterparts.
Right.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's so sad. And especially still within the medical field, that's still a little bit of a thing. You know, it's still about, oh, we can pinch an inch there and you're still your height-weight ratio and just hold on to these two little bits of metal and, oh, did you know that your body fat is... Like, that's not necessarily true. And some of the women that we coach also, I know women that don't go to doctors and that have real ailments that are real issues that are probably not even weight related, but won't go to their general practitioner because they know that they will have the conversation about it's because you're fat or it's because you need to lose weight or it might be something else. But anyway, just while you're here, get on the scales and let's shout the number out real loud.
Yes.
Right.
You know, that's such an awful thing.
So unfortunate.
It is.
Wow.
Tessie, genuinely, I could do this all night. I feel like we need to be like best mates and I need to come up to San Francisco and we just need to drink martinis and just talk about this for the rest of our lives together.
Yeah, and if you like style people, I should probably get styled by you because right now my boyfriend picks out like all my outfits.
Hey, now, so I have significantly stalked you this week. I don't think that personally you need me to do that, although it would be fun to do it. And you should high five your boyfriend because he clearly has incredible taste. So he deserves like honourable mention. And if he wants a job, he can come and work with me. That's not a problem at all. So, darling, tell me where everybody can get hold of you, what your social medias are, your deal with your spoken word as well, because I love all of that. And just let everybody know where they could possibly reach, touch, and speak to you.
Yeah, so my website is tessietracy.com, TESSIETRACY.com. As far as social media, I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook. So you can find me on Facebook. Like my business page is called I Am Perfection Coaching.
Yes, you are.
Which is like a play on I'm perfection. Like our imperfections are actually what make us perfect.
You're so smart.
That's clever. I like it. I really like that.
Yeah. And on Instagram, it's at Tessie Tracy. My spoken word is at Spoken Worth Poetry. And that's, so the spoken word poetry, that's all about, being positive and creating poetry that kind of portrays the human experience and acknowledging ourselves. So kind of the self-worth and acknowledging others.
I'm going to share all of that on all of our social media and we'll put it up on the links to everything that we've recorded today because there is far too many cameras in this studio for my liking right now. But wherever all of these feeds go on our YouTube and on the ULM Media website, we'll make sure that we tag you in on that. Genuinely,
Awesome.
I honestly cannot tell you how lovely it's been to have somebody sane talk to us, and talk to us like as a human, right? I think sometimes we can all get a little bit preachy because we all get on our soapbox and we're all so passionate about, spreading the good word and the message and everything. But that there is some really helpful things in there that have probably just fallen out of your mouth because you're just that lovely and that clever. But I just want you to know how much of a privilege it has been to have you call in and to do that for us and to share some of those wonderful things with our listeners and with us in the studio. You even brought a tear to Joe's eye.
I got emotional.
Oh, Joe!
I know. I'm on your website right now.
Which is
I
true
just signed
story.
up for the newsletter.
Oh,
what?
my.
Why can't I do that?
No, you
Thank
totally
you
can.
guys so much.
Okay,
It's definitely been an honor to be on the show, and Denise and Sally and Joe, it's just been a pleasure to get to know you, and I'm looking forward to continuing the relationship.
Hey, baby, this is not the end of our journey,
my
Tessie.
cheeks hurt because I'm smiling so much.
We're going to have
so
her on
sweet.
again. We want you on again.
This is not the end of our journey at all.
Because I'm going to have guy questions.
So, Tessie,
luck.
Liz, I just wanted to say from myself as well, thank you.
Yes,
and
thank you.
it's been a pleasure having you on Truth in the Mirror with Sally. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Just
you for
super
joining
happy
us.
to find you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So until next time, Tessie, I have a little catchphrase and we all need to say it together. Stay fabulous.
Right.
Stay fabulous.
Stay fabulous.
All right, Tessie, have a wonderful night. Thank
Good
you so much
night.
again for joining.
Thank you.
so
Talk
much.
to you soon.
Bye,
See ya.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, I just want to say that was amazing to have
on.
Tessie.
What is
You
not
and
to
Tessie.
love
Oh
about
gosh,
her?
oh that was great.
She's awesome.
I know.
So
She, like,
Sally, you knocked it out of the park once again.
Yeah.
She's just lovely.
Yes.
Like, I have some questions. It was resonating. I was, like, in deep thought going,
We should go for some
there's a few
coaching with
things
her.
I related to, and I'm
Right.
like, I get it. Now I'm, like, thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's
all it takes.
And
a little bit of a trigger every
that
now
was
and again.
awesome.
Yeah, I really, really love her. She's going to come on a bit of a journey with us. That is not the last that we're going to hear of Tessie
Yeah.
Tracy because, I mean,
Now I'm
she's
gonna have a
super
list of
special.
questions.
Right, and I probably need a road trip to San Francisco because what's
Right.
not to love about that?
Can we take
Right?
why don't we do a road trip?
Yeah,
Let's just all
do
pack
that.
in the car and go now.
All right.
All right.
For everybody that has listened to us, we totally ran over this week, but that was just some quality stuff that I didn't want anybody to miss out on. And I know that it will help some of you out there.
Yes.
So thank you so much for listening. Again, you can find us on the ULM media website. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, on YouTube at Truth in the Mirror. And you can also re-listen to ourselves and Tracy on Saturday at 10 a.m., Sunday at 12 noon. And then it will go up as a podcast later on in the week. Genuinely, thank you so much for listening and being with us week after week. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you all.
So yeah, thank you again. This is Remote Town Radio, Sally Hilton, Truth in the Mirror, and I was going to take us out with I was trying to find a fun song
here
to
we
do,
go.
but then I saw the song and then I thought, well, that's not okay because it says American Woman,
American woman.
and I don't want you to take it the wrong way.
It's okay.
But you know what?
I've acclimated now. We're good.
Should we do it?
But Lenny loves all women
Right.
Do it.
as much as we all do. So Sally, take us out.
Stay fabulous. We'll see you soon.
Bye.